Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
So now we have someone very special on our show, Mark Sunshine, who's the CEO of Sunshine Senior Help. And Mark is a unique individual. He lives here in Boca Raton, and he's into all the things that I'll just do this again. So Mark Sunshine, the CEO of Sunshine Senior Help. He is someone who, when you meet him, you don't really know how powerful he is. Mark is a person that knows so much and cares so much and has been around for a long time. Not that he's so old, but he's a very industrious person. So, Mark, welcome to our show.
Well, thank you very much.
You know, Mark, it's interesting when you meet people, and there's so many people here in Boca who care about seniors, boomers, and they all have their opinions about how to help them, but you've really been very experienced at this. This has been a very big part of your life, and I think I'd like to start off with what actually does Sunshine Senior Help do?
Well, Sunshine Senior Help is a clearinghouse for a number of different services that seniors need in planning for their retirement. And when I mean seniors, I mean boomers, people my age, your age, our neighbors down the street, so to speak. And the services that we provide or that we arrange for seniors include everything from geriatric care management, and I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that, to asset protection for seniors so that they don't end up outliving their estate, so that they have enough money to pay for long-term health care and through retirement without impoverishing themselves or their family, and also other legal services. And it all started when we opened a funeral home and direct disposer, which is a cremation place, and got to know the needs of seniors as they were approaching end of life, as well as watching survivors and what they needed when their spouses or other important people passed away.
And you know, Mark, that's all great and all, but as a gerontologist, my great passion is to make them not worry so much about the end of life, but the life today, the present. And I know the thing I like about what you do is you make them aware of what they better think about, so when it does happen, they're all prepared. But in the meantime, what we want to do is have them have fun, financially be secure, enjoy their families. And so you do have a lot of connections with organizations, I know that can help them attain this.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right. And one of the organizations that I have great connection with are various organizations in the Jewish and Catholic community that, in fact, are very important to providing services to seniors and keeping them aging in place with dignity, having fun, being socially connected.
Do you know, Mark, years ago, I've been doing this a long time, the place that started to get daycare centers were the churches and the synagogues.
That's exactly
because
right.
Because all day long, they have the facility. And so I'm so glad that you incorporate that. Because we do know as older people, well, as elders, I always want to call them elders, as they get along in their life and the journey, they do think about religion more if they hadn't thought about it when they were younger. And so it's a very good point. And I know that from time to time, as we have more of these shows, you'll bring some of these clergy and these people to our shows, which I think is very smart. I want to jump quickly, though, ahead to what actually is geriatric care management, because that's something that you're really big on.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So I like to think of geriatric care management as the angel on the shoulder of an elder, of somebody who's getting older, right? And the idea of a geriatric care manager is they're there to protect the person as they age from bad things happening, from going into crisis. If there was, if a husband and wife, if their kids lived in Florida, and we know so many seniors, they've migrated to Florida, and their children and immediate family and caregivers are out of state. But let's just pretend we had mom and dad here, and mom and dad are in their 70s, and they're doing fine, but the kids are up in New York. And mom and dad suddenly find out from the kids that they want to have this thing called a geriatric care manager looking in on mom and dad. Why would we do that? The reason we would do that is because we want to make sure that mom and dad have the same level of care and someone watching out for them before they deteriorate, before they have medical problems, before they get something as simple as the flu and have to go to the doctor.
Good point.
Someone looking out for them who's a surrogate child in place to make sure that the house is clean, to make sure that there's food in the refrigerator, make sure that mom and dad are getting out and seeing their friends and going to synagogue or going to church, not becoming disconnected, not becoming locked in because they can't get around. And that's what a geriatric care manager does.
And moving forward with that, the geriatric care manager is actually more than a son or a daughter. They're smart. They have a knowledge like you do of so many things. So, do they have a good attorney who's helping them? Do they have the person they can call quickly? Do they have a dog sitter? Do they have so many things? And the kids think, even though they come down for the weekend, they think they can take care of everything in one weekend. We know they can't do that. So I have been a very big proponent of geriatric care manager. That's why when I met you, I was so thrilled, because you do have your hands in so many areas that they need. For instance, the financial. I know that you have experienced good people that you can trust. The same thing with legal. And it goes the whole phase of, as one is 50, 60, 70, 80, and now we know there are people in their hundreds, 100 years old. Doctors are still doing knee replacement, hip replacements, because our brains are much younger than they were.
Well, absolutely, and you seem pretty passionate about this.
I am.
It's kind of like you're the person doing it, But no, it's extraordinarily important. We see situations. I happen to be the president of Temple Beth El down here in Boca Raton, which is an enormous sort of mega synagogue. Excuse me, largest synagogue in the Southeast. We have many, many elderly congregants, and I see it every single day, where, when they were 75. They were perfectly capable, perfectly competent, able to deal with everything in life. But at 76 or 77, there was some loss of capacity. Now, does that mean they need to go into assisted living or a nursing home or some other place where they don't want to go? Absolutely not. And the point of the geriatric care manager is to keep them in place for the longest amount of time, as happy as possible, aging well, and socially interacting.
Yeah.
We see so many of our congregants at the synagogue, and I'm close with a Catholic priest also, and I see so many of his congregants at his church not able to practice their religion, not able to see their friends, being shut in, right? And it's really simple things that could help out those seniors to make it different. And one of the things that a geriatric care manager does, one of the things they do is they go in and initially establish a baseline. And by that I mean they'll go into your parents' homes, right? They'll spend an afternoon with your parents or with their client, and they'll look at what's in the refrigerator. They'll talk to the individuals about what they're doing socially. They'll talk about where they spend their money and what their budget is. They'll look and see whether or not the house is clean. They'll take a look at the car and see if there are nicks and dings on it.
I'll take this. I'm here. I want one of those. No, but everyone needs something like this. It's just that we can function to manage it ourselves, right?
Absolutely. But then the geriatric care manager, once they have that baseline, they know where the patient is, where their client is, where the person that's going to be their friend is in terms of capacity. They then come back a month later and see if anything has changed, or 2 months later and see if anything has changed. And they're highly trained professionals, RNs, licensed practical nurses, social workers, and they're able to, because they have special training that I don't have and you don't have, well, you do have, but I don't have, they're able to see subtle differences that the children of the elderly, of the aging, wouldn't see or wouldn't want to see.
And
and looking at those subtle differences let you head off problems before crisis.
The subtle difference is they go into the refrigerator, Mark, and that piece of chicken is still there week after week after week, because their vision, they can't see anything sometimes. And this is the problem that...
Whoa, wait a second. We're not supposed to leave the piece of chicken in the refrigerator?
Not for weeks.
Have you been talking to my wife? Because I believe if a piece of chicken's in the refrigerator, you just leave it there forever.
But that's the problem, that then they get sick, because the first thing that a person will go, so a professional will go into the refrigerator, because it tells a lot of things to see what's happening in that refrigerator and are they eating properly. So you were perfect when you were describing this. And people who aren't driving, as you said, they can't go anywhere, but they should know about for example, the Volin Senior Center, where they have buses, they can be picked up. They have the daycare center when their memory is not doing as well, but they shouldn't be put necessarily into a memory center. They could be at home. There's so many things that you know.
There's such simple things as just Uber. But I have to ask you a question. Do you believe in expiration dates on food?
That's very funny you should say that. I always did, but I was told that they're just put there for some other reason.
Well, I'm not sure about that. But the expiration dates on food, which apparently my wife also says I don't believe in.
But you're right.
Just looking at things like expiration dates on food.
That's interesting.
Looking behind to see if when you come into the house in January, everything's been dusted. You come into the house in March, it's dusty. Something as simple as that subtle little thing. There's a question. Did we lose our cleaning person, or was there a change in capacity and we now need to bring in a cleaning person? The whole point of the geriatric care manager is to be that angel on the shoulder of the aging,
I love the way you say
aging.
that. I want to give people your phone number because actually, and I want to get into the cremation services in a way too, but I want to make sure everybody knows how to call you. So you tell me the number that you think that people should, I have your cell number, but I don't want them calling you. They need to call Sunshine Sunshine Senior Help.
And that's 561-423-1671. And very honestly, it's okay.
Wait, give it to me again.
561-423-1671. And our website is sunshineseniorhelp.com.
Okay.
And oddly enough, Sunshine Senior Help is not named after the state of Florida, even though that's where we are. It's actually named after my last name. It took you a little while to get over that.
I kept saying Sunshine. Oh, he changed his name to be Sunshine. And I looked him up. No, it's really his name. And it says a lot about you. You are Sunshine. Every time I see you, you're smiling, you're happy, you have a wonderful family, but you really do care about elders. And by the way, I call them elders. I don't use the word elderly because there are a lot of people who are elders, and elderly means for me that they're really sad and that they don't have much longer to live. So I like to use the word elder. So let's say all the people out there now listening to you, and I actually have some people. Do you know let's see, I think, and I do know him. There's a gentleman, Mark Moransky, or there's I forget his first name now, but he's been on here since we started. There's a Susan Shipman is watching, but this is David Moransky. Does that mean anything to you? I do know him. I've been doing this for so long, but they're all watching you.
I don't want to answer that question. I'd like to pretend that you're in front of Congress, because we've got 2,000 families that are congregates, and they all know me, and I don't. So I'd like to take I believe that's privileged information that I don't think I need to. I think it's presidential privilege.
Okay,
I shouldn't respond to that.
All right, we won't do that. But let's just go into, and you are very big into understanding what happens to the last part of their life with, cremation or whatever they're doing. And knowing that you're Jewish, I have to ask you, for a long time, Jewish people didn't want to be cremated, and now they can be? I mean, what is that story?
So the deal with cremation is, I guess it was in about the 1960s. The reform movement decided that cremation was okay, that it was acceptable. But of course, there's the whole cultural thing of, World War II and the Nazis and the crematories and Jews being burnt by the millions. So there's still there was some residual social stigma. About 2 years ago, the conservative movement, there's this rabbinic court that's a little bit like the Supreme Court of the U.S., only there's about 40 rabbis and they fight more than the Supreme Court justices do. They came out with this like 80-page decision that was like a legal decision. It was like reading a Supreme Court law decision that said that cremation wasn't strictly forbidden, but that it was for conservatives, but that it was not preferred for cultural and social reasons. It's an interesting thing, but if you actually go back to the time of King David and the temple, Jews that had financial wealth actually engaged in a form of cremation. It was water-based cremation, not flame-based cremation. And what would be interred was actually the bones of the deceased, not the whole body. Which is sort of a fascinating anomaly, and the people that didn't have money, they went into the ground, So it's kind of a funny thing that if you go back 2,000-3,000 years, Jews actually engaged in cremation as the preferred method for those that were deceased.
And are we allowed to say that you're an attorney?
Yeah, we can. Well, not licensed in Florida and retired status in New York and Connecticut. But being an attorney is one of those things. It's like once
it's a thought process.
No, it's once you lose a limb, you've always lost the limb. I think they sometimes in law school, my son who's a third-year law student, he says in law school they teach you to not think, and that's so once you've lost that limb, you've always lost that limb.
Yeah, but I appreciate you, and I've had all these discussions with you. You do use your legal mind to think carefully about things, and that's really important. And that's why I think that Sunshine Senior Help is going to be a major company. I know right now it's here in South Florida, but I can see that it's crying out to help people. I know so many people that need your services. Mark.
Well, we actually have people up in New York also, New York metropolitan area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, that are staffed and ready to help out and provide legal services, elder care planning, elder concierge services, both for people in New York as well as people down here in Florida. So because so many people are transplants from New York, the parents come down, the kids still live up in New York, you really need to be, in my view, a combination Northeast and South Florida company, and that's what we have done.
Well, one thing I know, and you've given me a lot of notes here, is respect. What you're really doing is helping people to retain their dignity, their respect, and we also know that a lot of the older adults, when they lose a spouse, they'd sometimes find another person. I had a grandmother who married 3 times because of death. She I don't know how she always found these husbands. She lived in Miami Beach, but she did, and it's important. We know it's not for sex once, I don't think, maybe touching, holding, but the point is people need to be able to sit with someone and dine. They want to be able to look at television or just hold hands, just sit and be with someone. And so that's what a lot of your services will help them do, because they're unsure about their life now. They don't know what to do. But you have someone in your company who can sit with them and make sure the person they are seeing is not going to do any scamming. That's another big issue.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Helping prevent elder abuse. But I want to turn back to what you were just saying. So there are some basic human emotions that we see in our business, I see in the congregation, I see in the Catholic Church that we work with. And some of those basic human emotions are the need to be loved and connected to other people, the need to feel relevant, not irrelevant, and the need to have social interaction with people that, again, aren't going to scam them. And there are quite a few seniors, quite a few boomers, who have completely perfect health. I mean, total and complete perfect health. If they'd want to, could still be working, in whatever their chosen profession was, but are retired. And I talk to so many of them, and they say, well, my life's kind of over. And I say, well, what do you mean your life's over? And they say, well, there's no purpose for me any longer. You know, my kids are grown up. They don't need me. I barely see my grandkids. They don't really need me. They don't know me. I don't work anymore. I don't do anything that's productive. I'm just waiting to die. And one of the things that we strive to do, and I'm speaking now more from the synagogue point of view, and some of the other things that I do in philanthropy, is to make sure that is to try and ensure that those people have relevance, that there's a reason for them to be there, that they feel is a reason. So while their mind is perfectly healthy, but their body is starting to break down so that they really don't want to work 40 hours a week to feel relevant, or 50 or 60 hours a week to feel relevant, it doesn't mean that they have nothing to contribute to other people. And there's all sorts of things that we can do to help those individuals be able to contribute.
Volunteerism.
Well, it is volunteerism. One of the things, as an example, that we do, which I'm really big on, and we have a whole program at our synagogue, is the Guardian ad Litem program, which I'm not sure if you know what that is, and it's off the topic of geriatric care management.
No, it isn't. I think it's very important.
And what a Guardian ad Litem is they're there, court-appointed, to help to be the angel on the shoulder of a child that is in the system, so to speak. It could be that they're in the foster care system. It could be there are other problems at home. It could be a parent is, for whatever reason, the child is in the Child Protective Services system, so to speak. And there's lawyers, and there's psychologists, and there's social workers. But the Guardian ad Litem is the court-appointed person. You don't get paid for this. It's the court-appointed person to be the advocate for the child with the only interest in mind as to what, as a parent, you would do for that child and make those recommendations for the court, right? And those evaluations for the court. You get trained a little bit. But being a Guardian ad Litem, for example, gives a large number of our congregants a reason for being, because now there's a child that's dependent on them, that's waiting for them,
that's amazing,
that's looking forward to them, where they're partially responsible for that child's well-being. And that child is, by definition, in distress, in trouble, not because of their own doing, but just because.
And they're trained, I'm sure.
The Guardian ad Litem program trains them. They take a course, they get trained. It's interesting, there are many more female Guardian ad Litems than there are males. And the Guardian ad Litem program, both in Broward and Palm Beach County, is desperate to get men into the program, because little boys and teenage boys need to have that role model of a man, not just a maternal role model.
I want everybody to know my superb guest here is Mark Sunshine. We're going to have him back hopefully a lot more times, but you can call. He is the CEO of Sunshine Senior Help, HELP, and the phone number to call is 561-423-1671. We have a lot of people watching you. I have all the people telling. I have a question about cremation. When my dad was cremated, I sort of expected the funeral home to ask me if I wanted. There's a lot more stuff. I'm the nice thing about Facebook Live, we can actually communicate.
Live. It's actually live. I'm waiting for someone to
phone.
Type in that question about expiration dates on food and why we have to take the chicken out of the refrigerator. I don't know. It could be there a month.
Show.
It's okay.
We talked about running this kind of show and doing this should be a lot of fun, like the View, huh? Anyway, 561. So
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do we also have to take the dishes out of the sink and put them in the dishwasher? Because I don't know about that.
Oh, you're bad. Okay, 561-423-1671. It's an important number. Write it down. You may not need it this moment. You may have a friend who needs it. 561-423-1671. And you can get all the kind of help that you didn't even know you needed. It's like, I love your statement, angel on your shoulder. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. I hope I have some angels on I do. I have a lot of angels on my shoulder. But I have a lot of people have been asking me all sorts of things, but you'll be able to see. Oh my heavens. It's the most I've ever had from Facebook Live this time. Usually they come on later.
Gotcha.
This is wonderful. So you must have a lot of... Did you tell people you're going to do this?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh. Well,
no.
They know who I am. They do this, but they love this show. I can see this. Okay, so we have probably about 4 more minutes, and I want to know, what is it that you would like people to know about Sunshine Senior Help that we haven't really explained? Do you want to just, maybe it's an elevator speech.
Well, the question is, does the elevator get stuck halfway? So the thing about Sunshine Senior Help that I would want them to know is we're here to provide those services. And when I say provide, to refer people to the best in the business in those services that you don't want to deal with. So as an example, in elder care, geriatric care, geriatric care managers, nobody wants to say that they need help. Nobody wants to deal with it. Nobody wants to admit that one day they may need help, and it's worth getting that baseline so that we can, a trained professional can figure out if they need help before they go into crisis. In the work that we do in asset protection and long-term healthcare, healthcare, paying for long-term healthcare, no one, and let's not use code words here. This is if one has to go into a nursing home. A nursing home around here, if you need to go into a good memory care unit, starts at $130,000 to $150,000 a year. There are very few families that can pay for that. Does anybody want to go into a nursing home? No. But you know, this is like insurance. It's like buying your property and casualty insurance on your house. Does anybody want to have your house burned down? No, unless you're an arsonist or you're getting a good insurance deal. But no, people don't want to have their house burned down, but they buy insurance because if the house burns down, they don't want it to be more devastating than it would otherwise be. They don't want to be wiped out financially. The things that we're doing for seniors, for boomers, is to help them buy the insurance so that we head off crisis, we head off financial crisis. The legal work that we do, or that we can refer people to for law firms, that is to make sure that long-term health care costs don't wipe them out if they have to go into a nursing home. And it's like buying insurance. You pay a little bit of premium and you get protected financially. It's the same thing in geriatric care management. You pay a little bit and you make sure that you're not going to go into crisis. You're not going to have two doctors prescribe drugs that are contradictory to one another. You're not going to be shut in as you age. You pay a little bit of money, and we're able to protect you from that.
You know, and we only have probably less than a minute, and I just want to summarize this show. It's been fabulous, and I love the older adults. They know Boomer Times. They know the expo's coming up, as a matter of fact. And when I find someone that I have confidence in and I know can help you, I love to get them on the radio. I love to start working with them, and I believe that Mark Sunshine will be this person. So I hope that all of you, some of you who we couldn't answer your questions, call 561-423-1671. Mark, thank you. It's been wonderful having you today.
It was my pleasure, and I look forward to being on again, and I look forward to the Boomer Times, the expo. That was
absolutely.
a fantastic event.
Right, in January.